yes, the show is Eren's show. It's the Eren Yeager show. It is. It's called Attack Titan for a reason. It is his show. It doesn't mean that he's the hero. Hey guys, it's me, Mina, back with another video, another Attack on Titan video discussion. As you can see, still wearing the same shirt. I have twisted this side of my head, and now I'm going to take down, detangle this side. So what I'm trying to do with my hair, I'm trying to not rush my way through my hair. So I got in the shower, I wash the conditioner, I these flexes, and then I start with the other more, and I take that up. So I'm just take my time, wait till my hair, and not rushing myself to part of me talking about Attack on Titan is I want to do that anyway. But the other part is me being like, this is my chance to, do my hair without thinking about doing my hair. But they're not bad. This one is the one I just did. That's why I have the thingy on the end so that it doesn't unravel on me. And then I'm going to take down this one as we talk more. So what I want to talk about in this video is Eren as a character. So I told you in the last video the whole thing about the colonialism, the imperialism, the cycle of violence, the cycle of war. I talked about another video about how Ymir came to be in the show and like the chronological story leading up to the show and the type of person that Eren's dad, Grisha Yeager, is. But one of the things I do want to talk about is Eren himself as a character, because I've seen like 2-hour videos on Eren as a character. Some of the videos being like, Eren ain't shit, he's this, he's that. And then other videos being like, Eren's amazing and he been amazing and y'all hating on him. But I've noticed in the blurred groups I'm in, because I'm in a blurred group for blurred women. I put on my cat sweater because I was cold. Also too, this is how much hair came out. Let me roll it up. This is how much hair came out from just the left side of my head. So this is already showing me that I'm doing a much better job detangling my hair. But yeah, so I'm in a blurred girls group. Oop, wrong hair. Wrong one. I'm in a blurred girls group. And one of the things that I've seen from the women who actually do watch Attack on Titan, because as popular as it is, for some reason in my group, it's not as many people willing to talk about it. The only time I hear them talking about it is when they want to thirst over Eren. And it is very weird being asexual in these type of groups, because the thirst that these women have for anime men, I just cannot fathom. Like, don't get me wrong, when I was a kid, I had crushes too. When I was a kid, I was watching Inuyasha and I was like, oh, it's a Shomaru. Don't get me wrong, I know about crushing on anime characters, especially when they're done really well. The level of thirst these women have had for anime characters is a level that I have not seen before. Like them thirsting after Gojo, Eren's a Titan form more so than Eren. It's just wild. It's wild. The amount of hear me outs about wild anime characters that they are thirsting after is just crazy. But one of the things that I realize whenever somebody is willing to talk about it is like they are looking at it from the perspective of, I love Eren, so then everything he did was the right thing and I support him. And I'm looking at you like, you crazy. Fuck you support this man for? Which he really ain't a man. I think he's like, what is it, like 18, 19 by the time the show ends? Because again, you got to remember, this show is about child soldiers. They are children. You know what I mean? I think he's like 8 years old at the beginning of the show. And then they join the scouts at whatever age they join the scouts, and then they go through all this training. These are all like teenagers. There are very few adults that are alive in the show that were soldiers at the end of the show. Like, really the only adults by the end of the show was like Reiner and them. But Reiner and them were child soldiers as well. Annie, Bertolt, Reiner were child soldiers. Gabby was a child soldier. Falco was a child soldier. Eren, dad literally forced the Titan power on him as a child, limiting the amount of lives he had. Like, everybody was a child soldier. Even Zeke was a child soldier. Like, I think sometimes we forget because we're looking at them like they grown. These are children. These are teenagers who have been radicalized from a very young age to do all of this wild stuff, okay? Let's not forget that. So one, you're thirsting after him. He's probably, I guess 18, 19 makes you feel better, but You're thirsting after someone who's a child soldier, and you are justifying the behavior of a child soldier because you like them. And yes, the show is Eren's show. It's the Eren Yeager show. It is. It's called Attack Titan for a reason. It is his show. It doesn't mean that he's the hero. He's the protagonist. He's not the hero. There's no heroes in this show. So let me just go through something that I've seen. And yes, there are much longer videos on this. I don't even know how long I'm going to take to talk about this video, to talk about this man. But going through from the very beginning, Eren as a young child murdered people. He killed adult men. He stabbed them to death. Let's start there. Again, going through the chronological piece of this. Eren as a child stabbed and killed 2 adult men and then forced a young girl of Mikasa, who's also a child, to kill another adult man in order to stop him from hurting Eren. And Eren's justification of why he chose to kill those people was that they were not people, they were animals. So he already showed from the jump that he was willing to dehumanize people and kill them if it meant protecting someone he actually knew. So you got to think about this thought of the other. That's a huge thing in the show, of changing your perspective. Because when someone is the other, it is easy to dehumanize them and justify hurting them and killing them. And so I love the way the show plays with perspective, because you go from the Colossal Titan being like this, big bad monster that we hate and we want to see killed, to Bertolt literally screaming and crying because he doesn't want to be eaten alive by a Titan. And you feeling that shit. You looking at it like, damn, kind of now that I think about it, he was a child soldier who was brainwashed into doing the things he did. Like, remember the fact, they attacked Paradis and caused all of that carnage and mayhem as children. They were kids who attacked the walls and caused a bunch of people to be killed. I just want you to sit with that for a second. Because again, another show doesn't let you breathe. It doesn't give you time to breathe and really soak in any information. Sit with that for a minute. That the big bad of the show of season 1 was a boy. And you think, and by the time, and Armin's really good at this because he's like narrating the whole show. Armin's really good of having these moments in the show where he's like, damn, Bertolt, the guy that I ate, remember now, I ate this guy, as he was screaming and crying because he didn't want to die. I ate him. I now understand he did not know what was beyond these walls. He just knew he was supposed to attack it. And as he's looking over the wall, he is seeing the effects of what he's doing. He is seeing a bunch of innocent people being killed and being murdered. He's not having there's not no extra big Titan that shows up to fight him. He just kills a bunch of people. And then when he changes and he infiltrates the wall, he sees even more of what he did. Because again, let's not forget, the pure Titans will eat a Titan shifter with the quickness. He's not protected from the Titans. So before he even knows about ODM gear or how to actually fight against Titans or anything like that, he has no weapons. He has to infiltrate and try to sneak in amongst the other people who are escaping. So he has a very real threat that he could be killed and eaten by Titans too. And he almost does get eaten by the Smiling Titan, aka Dina Fritz. He almost gets killed by her. They're children. This is a terrifying PTSD moment for them that they have to live with. Not just the trauma that everybody else is dealing with of like, damn, I almost got killed by a Titan, but also the trauma of like, I just killed a bunch of people. And I feel really bad about it. And Reiner is a very good example of like what happens to your mind with all of the trauma and PTSD. But I'm just pointing him out for a second because people were more concerned about killing the Colossal Titan. Well, Eren was more concerned in the beginning about killing the Colossal Titan than he was the Armor Titan. Because the Colossal Titan is the biggest Titan. So he's like, I gotta go after the biggest Titan. I'm fucking Eren Yeager. I gotta go after him. I'm gonna get the attack Titan in a minute, but I gotta go after the biggest colossal Titan. That's my way of showing that I'm standing on business. I gotta kill that guy. Another child. It's children fighting children. Sit with that for a second. So that's one of the things. But from the very beginning, Eren has been not mentally stable. And his parents kind of knew that. Like Carla Yeager telling Mikasa that she needs to protect Eren is not because Eren's weak. It's not because she thinks Eren's weak. It's because she know her son is crazy as fuck. And that he has violent tendencies. And he is very aggressive. Keep in mind that at the beginning of the show, Mikasa is living with Eren and his parents because Mikasa's parents are dead. And she was kidnapped. And Eren cold, callously killed people in front of her and then made her kill somebody. So we're starting the show with these characters having an immense amount of trauma. You never get to see Carla really comment on it in the show. Like you see Grisha being like, oh my God, like the fuck, my son's crazy. But Grisha already knows that Eren's crazy because Eren's future attack Titan is sending him memories and telling him to do shit. So Grisha already has an understanding that his son is about that action. Carla doesn't know any of this. Remember, Grisha, like I said, he's not telling his wife about all of the crazy shit that he knows is about to happen and is going to happen. Like, I don't even think he knows that Carla gets killed. Like, I think it's literally until like after the fact. Eren didn't even say, hey, your wife's going to die. Like, he didn't, because then Grisha probably would try to save her versus going to the Fritz family, or the Reese family. But Grisha knows his son is crazy. Carla does not really fully know how crazy her son is, but she has enough understanding to be like, Mikasa, you gotta protect Eren from himself. Eren don't really need protection from other people. Yes, do he pick fights with older kids and get his ass beat? Yes, but that doesn't really affect him. He's not Armin. Armin gets affected when he gets his ass beat. Eren doesn't, because Eren is just angry and full of violence and rage, and he's willing to throw it at anybody. He has hands for everybody, even if his hands ain't big enough yet. And he's always been like that. But literally the idea is everybody around Eren has an understanding that this boy is not okay. He's not okay from the beginning of the show. But because of the way the show presents it, because the show tricks you into thinking you're watching a regular shonen in the beginning, you're thinking, oh, of course he's foolhardy and he's rushing into fights like Naruto does. And, you know, he's not strong right now, but he's going to get strong and he's going to be our hero and save the day and all of this stuff. No. The power of friendship does not make him win fights. The power of, if I don't have the power, I'm going to steal it from somebody else and then use it to do whatever the fuck I want, is what it is. And for people to justify like his attack on Marley because they're like, well, they attacked us first. They literally have the same argument in the show, which makes me wonder if people are actually watching the show or if they're playing it in the background and they only look up when they see Eren, because literally they have the same argument in the show where they're like, oh, attacking Marley was justified. Oh, Marley attacking the Eldians was justified. Marley doing this to Paradis was justified. Eldians doing this to Marley was justified. You know, none of it's justified. Everybody trying to get their lick back literally only leads to more violence and war and more children dying. You know, and more children being radicalized into becoming child soldiers. Everybody trying to get back at each other is literally causing more mayhem and suffering. Because again, Eren did not have to attack Liberio, which is the internment camp where all of the Eldians were being held against their will by the Marleyans, because they're slaves. He chose to attack the place where the most vulnerable, oppressed population was, because he wanted to get his lick back on the military. At any other point, he could have attacked Marley and killed everybody regardless without having hurt Liberio at all. But he didn't do that. He attacked the most vulnerable population. Why? Because those Eldians wasn't his Eldians. They weren't the Paradis Eldians. They weren't none of his friends. They weren't none of Mikasa, Armin, Sasha, none of them. He don't even know them like that. That's more Reiner and them people who they were literally, again, forced to, against their will, become these soldiers. Because again, let's be real. You was either going to be a soldier, like a Titan Shifter soldier, or you was going to be one of them motherfuckers they turned into pure Titans and then straight dropped on a village to cause mayhem. And if you don't recall from season 4, a lot of them got dropped on these buildings and died on impact. Like they was dropping pure Titans like bombs, and they was just literally cracking themselves open on the pavement. And these other people, they were just blowing through them with their anti-Titan artillery. Like, remember that. You know, you see all of these people looking scared as fuck, like their face frozen in fear because they know what's about to happen to them the second they get turned into pure Titans. So you was going to do that? Or you was going to try to be a Titan Shifter, which gave you a little bit of respect. But at the end of the day, as a Titan Shifter, you were never going to be a real Marleyan because your blood was dirty. And these were the people that Eren thought it was cool to step on because he had to decide, right? Eren literally lived with these people for years and decided, I'm going to kill these people. I'm going to step on these people. I'm going to traumatize these people. Reiner and Bertolt had no idea what they were sneaking up on. Did they still attack the most vulnerable population? Yes. But the only reason that they caused as much carnage as they did was because the government of Paradis pushed as many people to live in those outer wall encampments as possible because they knew that the Titans would gather in those areas because that's where the most people were. So it caused the most safety for the inner walls, for the majority of the people to be living in these outer walls and concentrating the Titans in those areas. The reason there was so many Titans there when Bertolt and Reiner first attacked was because they made a good chunk of the population live in that area to attract those Titans. You see what I'm saying here? But Bertolt and Reiner didn't know anything about Paradis before they got there. They was just attacking a wall. That's all they knew. Like, Reiner couldn't see over the wall. He was an attack Titan. Only Bertolt could see over the wall, and he only saw over it for like 2 seconds before he kicked the door open. Eren lived with these people, made friends with them, got to know the absolute carnage and the trauma that these people were dealing with from being forced to be experimented on and forced to be child soldiers, and decided these are the people I want to kill because I want to make a statement. Does that sound sane to you? Does it sound like he really standing on business by killing the most vulnerable, oppressed population of people, his own people with his own blood, who don't want to do any of the stuff they've been forced to do by this government? Is he still standing on business, Mr. Badass, ooh, Eren Yeager? No, he's not. This nigga's crazy. He's crazy. And he uses the power of the Attack Titan to convince his father and the previous wielder, Eren Kruger, that they need to be doing his plan. They need to be carrying out his plan, doing whatever is necessary to make it so that his plan comes to fruition. He's literally masterminding the trauma and abuse and colonialism of these people. He's masterminding the war. He's using the fact that this boy's sister was killed brutally as a way to make him kill more children. You see what I'm saying? But not Historia, though. You know, Historia was royal, but he likes Historia. You know, future Eren, he and Historia, they cool. So don't kill Historia, but kill her sisters and her brothers and her dad and her dad's wife. Kill them, but not Historia, because I like her. So you can leave her alone. You see what I'm saying? See how wild that is? Because he gets to pick and choose who he wants to live. And it's not because he's picking and choosing good people. He's picking and choosing his people. He is not that different from the king that put everybody on the island in the first place and wiped everyone's memories. Because just like that king used the founding titan to control everybody's memories and control their behavior, Eren uses the power of the attack titan to control the password of those memories and control their behavior. And just like that king wanted to he only created all of the walls and did all this threats and stuff like that because he wanted his people, the people he knew, to live out the rest of their days in peace, knowing that his descendants would be forced to follow along in his footsteps because he was controlling them. He was controlling all the royal blooded founding titan shifters that came after him. And he did not care that they were going to die. He did not care that they were going to be eaten alive by titans. He did not care if they were going to get bombed by Marley. He could see into the future because he has the founding titan. He did not care what was going to happen to any of the people who were born after he and his people died and the people he knew died. It didn't matter. He felt like they deserved it, just not him and the people he knew personally. The Eldians deserved to die for all the horrible things that they had done in the world, but not him and not the people he knew personally. But everybody else could die. He was cool with everybody else dying. But somehow people thinks that he's like the best of all the kings, of all the Eldian kings. Like, no, he's not. He was just as selfish as Eren was. He just had the power to do the selfish shit that he wanted to do. And similarly with Eren, Eren did not choose something that was going to benefit the most people. He chose what was going to benefit him and the people he cared about. Whether or not the people he cared about even wanted to go through with his plan at all. Remember, the Eldian king that sent everybody to Paradis didn't give a fuck if you agreed with him. In fact, if you disagree with him and he couldn't control you, he killed you. And it's literally history repeating itself with Eren. Eren did not acquire the founding titan because he deserved it, because he was the most pure, best person in the world. He acquired it because he made his dad go kill a lady. That's literally, he made his dad kill a lady and kill a bunch of kids and give him that power. He said, hey, Dad, I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you that you need to do these things that's going to benefit me. That's literally what he did. And at the end, when he has his like pathetic moment that people criticize for making him not look cool anymore, it's the most real moment because he literally says, like, what he said, I'm like a garden variety idiot who had too much power. The way I feel about the majority of shonen protagonists is that it's their idiots who stumble upon or somehow inherit a lot of power that allows them to impose their will and their beliefs on everybody else. And the show's always treated like they got that power because they deserved it and they were awesome. No. They some stupid 12-year-old boys who randomly got the power of the universe. And now they get to dictate how the rest of the people in the world move. And Eren did that. Did Eren know if he was going to actually save everybody in the future? No, because he could really only look back. Did he care about saving anyone other than the people that he personally knew and liked? No. He did not care how many people died when the walls were attacked. He did not care how many people died when he started the rumbling and those walls literally collapsed on people. He didn't care how many Eldians actually got stepped on when the Colossal Titans came out the wall and started walking around and burning people alive in Eldia, in Paradis. He didn't care. Because it wasn't his people. See, all the people that he knew and cared about had ODM gear and knew how to fight Titans. So they was going to survive anyway. That's literally his whole goal was, I'm going to take all of this power and use it to help out me and my friends, and no one else matters. Did he like Erwin? Yes, he liked Eren. But he liked Armin more. So Erwin got to die. Because Armin needs to be the Colossal Titan anyway. Did he care about Levi's friends dying? Kinda, sorta. It was hurtful, especially younger Eren, who felt like he should be more powerful than this because he kind of knew that he had all this power, but he didn't really know how to use it all just yet because the future version of him didn't tell him, He had to go through training and become better and learn more. Yeah, it kind of hurt his feelings when the people he worked alongside with died. But once he realized he had a huge amount of power that nobody could really stop him at that point, he said, let me just go ahead and kill as many people as possible, because that makes sense. He easily could have just destroyed Marley. He easily could have just destroyed Marley, or he could have just destroyed Marley's military, just like when Armin destroyed their boats and all their fleets so that they couldn't go out into the water and do anything with that. He could have easily targeted various military bases like Yelena wanted him to do. And that would have been enough to cripple the military and give again the people he cared about time to live out their lives in peace. He could have easily did that. He didn't. He said, I'm gonna kill all the innocent people too. Because he had already decided what he was gonna do, and he didn't want to go back on that. Eren's version of standing on business is, I don't care how innocent you are, I'm gonna kill you anyway because it benefits my agenda. Sorry, I'm slowing down on my hair and I need to not do that. And also too, I'm gonna say this, and this might offend some blurs. Eren ain't even that cute. He ain't even that cute. For real deal, he ain't even that cute. I don't know what it is, but he was giving, and again too, I think it makes sense given the time that this came out too, is so topical. Eren was giving all of those dudes in high school who would get like their colored contact lenses and be like, I'm a vampire, I'm an alien, I'm not like everybody else. It was very much giving that. The guys who wanted to be Sasuke so bad, and wanted to be super badass, and they wanted to be cooler than everybody, and it was very much giving those guys. And I just was not here for it. I was not here for the way he disrespected his friends, because again, they your friends and you care about them living, but you don't care about them living well. You care about them living. So when he does all this stuff where he's like always rejecting Mikasa and always running off from her, knowing full well that this girl, and I'll get into whether or not I think she loves him or not later, but always chasing after him, Armin always chasing after him, knowing that he is the leader of this friend group, knowing that no matter where he runs, they will follow him, not letting them in on his plan, knowing that even if he did have a fucked up plan, Mikasa would have probably still helped him anyway. As long as it meant they could be together. She probably would have did it anyway. Armin probably would try to talk him out of it, but after a certain amount of time, he probably would have gave up himself. But he only cared about them living, not them living well. So when it came time to hurt them and disrespect them and beat up Armin and disrespect Mikasa by calling her all these names and saying that he hates her and he's disgusted by her and all of that stuff, when it came time to do all that, he had no problem doing that. And I don't care about the whole, I wanted you to hate me. And I see that in shonen as well, too. Guys who have too much power, who hurt the people they care about, will say stuff like, I just wanted you to hate me because then it'd be easier to kill me. I remember Naruto. I remember Itachi. But Eren also, too, this is coming from Eren, who has all of the power. The power dynamics in this show do not match up to Eren's behavior. It just doesn't. It doesn't match up to Eren's behavior and the way he acted. He manipulated the people around them into becoming people they did not want to become. He turned Armin and Mikasa into murderers. You know, he messed with Historia's head. Historia didn't even know what she's supposed to be doing by the end of the show. She's like, I guess I get pregnant and have a baby, you know, but like, he literally manipulated everybody around him to give him what he wanted, because at the end of the day, what he wanted meant more than anything else. And he had the power to do it, so he just went and do it. Now, how many times in a real life do we see people who have a bunch of power that they don't deserve, that they did not earn, and then use that power to manipulate world governments into doing their bidding, into giving them the things that they want? You see what I'm saying? When he says, I'm a garden variety idiot who got too much power, he meant that shit. He meant that. He said that with his chest. That's why he was crying. And he should have been crying. Because as strong as he physically became, he was still mentally weak. He did not have the same type of mindset that if someone like Erwin had achieved the Attack Titan. You know what I mean? And I think the other part of Eren's plan was Erwin did have to die, because if Erwin didn't die, then he would have probably been able to stop Eren. Or he would have found a way to deal with the situation peacefully. Because one thing about Erwin that nobody else had in the show, and you saw that after he died, was that Erwin knew how to play the political game. Erwin knew how to get the people on his side, how to sway the people and to convince the royal government and the politics. Like, he knew how to expose people for who they really were. And the reason that everything fell apart politically after Erwin's death was because of the fact that nobody else had that juice like he did when it came to how you disseminate information and how you are transparent with the public, but also navigating those different heightened emotions that people may feel to prevent further violence. Because Erwin had seen enough of his people die. And Eren, I can't get it together. Eren knows that. You know, Eren says, well, I looked at all the other timelines and I just couldn't find one that would allow us to live peacefully and live out our days peacefully. So I just decided to destroy 80% of the world. And I just decided that was the best route, because then we would have, gotten what we wanted. But also it's impossible for him to have known every single thing that would have happened. And honestly, if Armin had died and Erwin became the Colossal Titan, it still would have been a win for humanity. But then Eren would have been mad because Armin died. He probably saw a more peaceful outcome, but because the more peaceful outcome included either Armin or Mikasa dying, he didn't want to do it. And it's not like he could have easily helped them out and made it so that they didn't die. But he didn't want to do it that way. He wanted to do things the way he wanted to do it. And it just reminds me of the fact that we're dealing with angsty preteen, angsty teenager who has a bunch of power and none of the intellect and wisdom to know how to use it. And the fact that nobody else seems to understand that, and they just want to be like, Eren, he's the best. He's standing on business. He said he was going to kill the Titans and he did, and all of that stuff. And y'all just being thirsty. Y'all just being thirsty. You might as well tell me you like the Joker. And some people do like the Joker. They do think he's sexy. And I mean, you can think he's sexy, but that doesn't mean that all the stuff that he does is the right thing to do, And I just feel like people just don't get that. And it's not always that, and it's not that I hate Eren and I think I think it's perfect that this is his show, because again, it subverts expectations, right? It's his show. It's the Attack Titan. It's the Attack Titan show. But it's also, too, it's a show that he has entirely manipulated the storyline and the plot of. So all the fucked up things, and now there was this whole part about him, how he was like, they were trying to make it seem like he's the reason his mom died, and probably is. But it also could have been a situation where he was just like, okay, but don't kill Bertolt. But then the only other person nearby was Carla, and so then it was like, because if Dina Fritz became the Colossal Titan, she, more than Grisha, she would have told everybody what was going on. Because unlike Grisha, who was being controlled by Eren, if you recall, the whole thing that the political faction of Eldians were doing in Marley was trying to restore Eldia to its original glory and save all the people who had been trapped outside the island who were being enslaved by Marley. So with her not being under Eren's control, she would have easily told everybody what was going on and tried to implement changes and let them and help them go to war with Marley. It would have been a completely different story. But again, Eren wanted the story to play out the way he wanted the story to play out. He had to have what he wanted to happen. So nobody else got to have a different type of, nobody else got a say in how the story was going to go. Eren was the one who decided how the story was going to go. And just as he's the one who decided how the story was going to go, every bad thing that happened and every person that died and got hurt that he cared about was his fault. And he knew that, and he saw that. That didn't help that either at all. He knew that, and he saw that. And that's why by the time Sasha died, he didn't even know how to react because, well, shit, he had already killed his mom. And he knew he killed his mom by that point. So he had already killed his mom. So it's like, wow, I felt like him laughing when Sasha died was one of those, I just really fucking up everything. And he is. But I think it was just really like just another punch in the face of like, I'm trying to do this. And I have this whole plan and I just want the plan to work out the way it do. And then he has to deal with the consequences of how it affects the people around him. And he doesn't know how to deal with that. Because again, he's a child. I mean, at this point, he's a teenager. But as an adult, as someone in their late 20s sitting here, when I look at teenagers, I'm like, ain't no way in hell. None of these shows make sense when you remember the fact that they're teenagers. You think you want to give a teenager at a high school a fucking death note? With all the shootings we done had in America? You want to give them a death note? That makes sense. It does not make sense. You want to give them the power of a giant ancient demon? No. You want to give them a tailed beast? No. Because they're teenagers. They're dumb. They make dumb mistakes. And they are literally, in the show and in real life, they can only really react to the consequences of that the adults around them have caused. And that's something that I think the show highlights really well, but we don't talk about it. We're too busy getting caught up in the way the story is being told and being like, no, Eren's completely right to do all of these war crimes, like this is exactly what he needs to be doing. This is what they deserve. What deserve the kids? The kids this nigga stepped on? I can see him killing the Tiber family because they as a royal family politically align themselves with Marley and against Eldia. I can see him attacking them. That makes sense. Can I see him damn near killing Falco after having befriended him? And then use this child to communicate to his friends and tell them, send his manifesto back to Eldia? Because Eren wrote a whole manifesto. If Eren existed in real life as an actual person, and I mean, he kind of does. There are a lot of kids like him. But he would be on, a list somewhere. Because the way he's been talking since he was 8 years old, killing people, nobody would have been like, give him a gun. Give him a sword. That makes sense. You would have from the jump, Grisha should have been, and the only reason Grisha didn't act like this was because Grisha probably already knew, okay, Eren's about to do some crazy shit. But Carla, thinking that it was absolutely psychotic of Eren to want to be a scout, is exactly how everybody around Eren should have reacted. Because they know Eren's crazy as fuck. Mikasa has known this whole time. I feel like Mikasa got Stockholm Syndrome, and that's probably why Amir was like her. But she knew this whole time this dude was crazy. She watched him kill 2 adults at the age of 8. And then she trained with him as a soldier. As children. I'm sorry I gotta keep saying this. They're children. They're teenagers. They're stupid. They don't know what they're doing. Their hormones are ruling them. And if one of them randomly gets more powerful than the adults around them, and to where the adults can't talk sense into them, can't reason with them, well, then you get shit like what happened in the show. I'm sorry to rant for so long about Eren. And there's this whole thing about whether or not, is Eren really free? Is he really free to do what he wants and that's why he does it? Or has he been controlled by Amir this whole time? Or has he been controlled? I don't think anybody really needed to control Eren in order for him to do the shit that he wanted to do. He was always going to do it no matter what anybody said or tried to stop him. Because people tried to stop him. They tried to talk sense into him. Historia, he straight up told Historia his whole plan. And she was like, please don't do this. And he was like, I'm going to do it anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just he was always going to do what he was going to do. The only question was, was people gonna be able to stand up and say like, okay, actually, I don't really agree with you anymore, once they realized what his actions definitely entailed? Or was it gonna be like, and he told his story because he knew she wasn't gonna fucking stop him. He didn't tell nobody else because they were gonna try to stop him. But he did what he wanted to do because he wanted to do it. Did he feel bad about it? Yes. But he also decided to do it. So that's why he felt like him and Reiner were similar, because it's like Reiner felt really bad about what he did, but then he ended up having to attack the walls again. But reason that Reiner kept doing that was because Zeke and the Marlians showed up and was like, Reiner, what the fuck is you doing, bro? Like, they started doing their own coordinated attacks, and then Reiner was like, fuck, here we go. Because Reiner wanted to save Annie. He was tired of this shit. And what Zeke do? He beat his Titan ass and damn near ripped him whole neck out. And it's like, you gonna do what I said to do. As Zeke being the older person, the adult in this situation. Because I think Zeke was the only adult. Like all of the other Titan shifters in this show, in the time span of the show, were teenagers at the time. So yeah, Reiner wanted to stop, but the adults kept making him go. Bertolt wanted to stop, but the adults kept forcing him. Everybody else was forced by adults to do a certain thing, except for Eren. Eren was not trying to hear what anybody had to say. If anything, Eren was the one forcing the adults to make decisions that would impact everybody else. So when Grisha tells Eren as a baby that he's free, he's saying that because he already knows that Eren's about to do some crazy shit. He's already received Eren, the memories that Eren has chosen to give him at the time that he's given him that. And so whether you want to talk about whether or not everything was going to happen and Eren had no choice or not, Eren can make his own decisions. He could say, like, I feel like I had no choice, so I just had to keep going. But at the end of the day, knowing how he was before he even inherited the Titan, the boy was always going to do some messed up stuff anyway. But anyway, y'all, I'm going to let you go. I've been talking for too long about Eren. I'm not going to make 2-hour-long videos digesting every single scene about Eren. There's already videos like that. I just want to tell you my feelings about him. I don't like him. He's the protagonist. He's not a hero. Is he a villain? I don't even know, but he's not a hero. He didn't help anybody. He just did whatever he wanted, and anybody who was in his way, he killed them, and it didn't really matter to him as much who died as a result of his actions, as long as it wasn't Mikasa and Armin. Like, literally, he went back to Eren Kruger and was like, make sure Grisha knows to protect Mikasa and Armin. Like, those are really the only two people he cared about. Did it make him sad, like some of the people that he built up relationships with, for them to die, like Sasha or Levi Squad? Yeah. But it wasn't Mikasa and Armin, so he was okay with that. He told himself that he was going to be okay with that because it wasn't Mikasa and Armin. But Eren also isn't the first person to do what he did. The king of Eldia that sent everybody to Paradis in the first place was the same way. It was just that instead of trying to end the Titan curse, he just resolved to let everybody get wiped out and die. If anything, Zeke was kind of more in line with what that. But there's the thing too. He could have euthanized everybody so that there weren't any future generations that would have to die a horrible death. But he just felt like Eldians deserved to die in horrible ways. Just not him and his people. Just not him and the people he personally knew and liked. And then Eren went and did the exact same thing, which is why, even though it's like Eren kind of freed Ymir, he really didn't. He was doing the same thing that the previous founding Titan wielders did. It's nothing different. It's nothing special. He was just another idiot who got way too much power and decided to do whatever he wanted with it. He didn't want to be responsible. He didn't want to, with great power comes great responsibility. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to be as irresponsible and as reckless as possible. And that's what he did. So if you want to say that is standing on business, then yes, he stood on business. But I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for watching. I really don't want to let this go because I feel like it's going to twist up in something else. You can go ahead and clip that. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me rant about this. Honestly, I could make 50 videos about it, but I'm not trying to make 50 videos about it. I'm just trying to talk about the things I want to talk about and really just open a dialogue with you guys and say some stuff that I feel like they're not saying as much in these other videos when they're looking at the show, and they're not saying as much in these groups where people are avid watchers of the show and the anime. They're just not, I just feel like people aren't getting it. I see all these comments and I'm like, y'all gotta be being sarcastic, and maybe my autism isn't picking it up, because I don't think you're understanding that Eren is like the worst person, the second worst person. He's not as bad as the first King Fritz, but he's the second worst person in this whole show. But also, he's not new evil. He's still as the same selfish, powerful person as every other powerful person in the show has been. They all get power and they decide to do selfish, reckless, irresponsible stuff with it without any concern for how it impacts the people around them. So with that being said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Take care of yourself because you deserve it. Drink your water, eat your food, take your naps. No one can live in this body but you. Hop in Discord if you want to share any like long thought out feelings, or comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Leave a video of a like if you like the topic. And let me know if there's other things that you wanna talk about. We can talk about all types of stuff when it comes to this show, and then I'll probably even in future videos talk about other shows that I like as well. But I gotta get out my thoughts on this Attack on Titan stuff. I'm sorry that the videos are so long. I'm sorry, but love you guys. Bye.